I'm Nat. I'm going to be talking about social media, just how I use it to kind of create like a brand for myself, and then how I have taken those ideas and last year successfully conducted a crowdsourced funding campaign to raise money for a project. So for myself, I use social media, so the big ones: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and occasionally LinkedIn, to talk about things that I'm interested in that all kind of eventually work their way into my work. So things like cooking, the natural world, lots of self-promotion, humor, other art that I like, the natural world, and all those things kind of feed into to my own work because I'm interested in all those things. I do that by having sort of a well-timed message, so consistently posting. Social media is kind of like this big monster that you have to feed. It's like a digipet. Did you ever have those? Like if you don't feed your digipet, it dies. And social media is totally like that. So I do that just all the time. I'm really careful with my wording, with creating hashtags for different projects, with making sure that all of my images are really interesting and engaging that I post, and that it's all really easy to access. So when I did a crowdsource funding campaign and others that I've seen that have been pretty successful, you sort of have to have this online presence. You can't just sort of jump into it and not have an online presence. So I used mine to kind of get started. So crowdsource funding campaigns through like Kickstarter or Indiegogo, or I used Hatch Fund. It's kind of like something that needs to be sort of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. There's lots of people in the arts that use crowdsource funding campaigns. I think way too much. So for me, I had a project last year where I wanted to walk the Pacific Crest Trail, which is a 2,600-mile trail that runs from Mexico to Canada and through California, Oregon, and Washington. And I was going to make hundreds of field recordings along the way, and then collaborate with a series of 8 West Coast composers and create other work while I was out there. So I was like, well, that seems pretty good because there aren't very many composers who want to go walk around in the wilderness for 5 months and make work about it. So after numerous grant failures, I was like, I'm taking it to the streets. So I did. So I did a Hatch Fund campaign because it's something that people can donate to and then have it be a tax-deductible donation, which I felt was really important. So anyway, through all these, sorry, let me back up. So anyway, I started my campaign actually just a little bit over a year ago, and used all the different things that I was already interested in and talking about in all my social media posts. They all fit in with my project for walking on the PCT, and they were things that I utilized to amp up a lot while I was asking for people for money. So overall, I think that one of the most exciting things about the internet is, in fact, cats. There is a long history of using animals to get people's attention, like going back to opera. Oops, wait a minute, where do we go? Yeah, going back to opera in its early stages, people would throw a dog or a cat on stage to get people's attention, and I really think that cats are continuing to do that for us on the internet. So for my campaign, I had a hashtag that I rolled out. I designated some advertising budget, and yes, I collected hundreds of cat photos. So every time that somebody would donate, I would post another cat photo, and so it kind of became like a meme unto itself, so that people were just like, what's he going to post next? Where is he getting these photos? I'm getting them from the internet. But yeah, I mean, the internet is like, if you engage the internet, engaging the internet by investigating and exhibiting the internet to the internet, then you are more successful on the internet. So you can do that, and I found it really successful. Really, a key component of my crowdsource funding campaign was, in fact, the internet and cat photos. Obviously, cats aren't for everyone, but I think that the point is that, you know, publicly thanking people, giving them some kind of immediate thing on the internet is really important, and using humor is also super important. I mean, most of the work that I make, some of it's funny, but a lot of it is not. But I like to joke around, and so why should that not be incorporated into my, you know, asking for money? Another thing that I wanted to point out that I thought was an interesting part of my practice when I was asking for money was the arc of the week. The being that, like, there are certain parts of the week that people are on social media a lot more and willing to click on links, and other parts of the week where they're not. At the time when I was doing it, I had researched, that the middle of the week was the best time, and then Sunday was another peak. But just like all of social media, those things are constantly in flux. So I would say that if you're going to do a campaign, that you really have to you need to be using social media all the time, leading up to that, and then pay attention to all those little tiny details. Anyway, I'm happy to talk more about this later, and I think that's about all I got. Thanks.